Hi and welcome, my name is Anne, and if you've seen any of my other art videos, you might notice that I usually sketch things pretty traditionally and casually, but today I wanted to try something a tad bit different. Today I wanted to go ahead and try one of the 3D Clip Studio features. Something I rarely do is use 3D assets to create art. First, I'll need to go to the 3D tab, which we can open under the Window tab, and then navigate to 3D. Then we will need to go to the Clip Studio Paint asset store to find some pre-made poses, download them and drag them into the canvas. So now that we have our 3D model, we will go ahead and position the model however we want, with a different camera angle though. And since we're already working with 3D for this illustration, I might as well grab a 3D background as well. Going back to the asset store, I'm just gonna browse some of the free backgrounds and choose something I think might fit. And then we can just drag it behind the character and position it however we'd like, and then orient the character to fit a bit. And yeah, we're pretty much done with the 3D. So we'll go ahead and start making a new layer while reducing the opacity of the 3D models, and start drawing the character itself while sketching and adding some more details. Personally, I don't always like the specific proportions and style of limbs that the default 3D model has, so I use it more as a rough guideline for the pose, and that combined with 3D poses tending to be a bit more stiff than gesture drawings, I prefer to kinda use them as skeletons to where you should place your geometric shapes, so it will give you more of a dynamic final result in the end. And after sketching out the character, I decided that I wanted to go for a more watercolor style of artwork this time. And I used the pencil texture for the line art, so I also went ahead and got some paper texture to place on top of that, just to complete the look. Then I ran into a problem. I wanted to try and use watercolor style for the painting. However, the Clip Studio brush for watercolors are usually fine, but the wet wash brush is just really laggy. And I mean, my PC doesn't have the newest specs on the market. However, I am running a pretty good GPU and CPU combo, so I assumed if it lagged for me, it probably lagged for most people. And all the other watercolor brushes I found on the asset store didn't function anywhere close to the wet wash brush, so it was time to roll up my sleeves and get down to fixing this brush. Alright, so essentially ma'am, the problem was that your second brush that was set to high linear mode used a texture brush with nearly no added benefit. Instead, I just switched it to a round brush and well, the result speaks for themselves. I did make a few extra minor tweaks to make it better and make it more consistent to the other original wet wash brush, and here you can see the difference between the old wet wash brush and the new wet wash brush. There is almost no difference, but the lag is significantly less impactful, especially for smaller size brushes. My new edit looks very similar and works butter smooth. If you want this brush, I'm gonna go ahead and leave a link in the description below so you can use it for your own watercolor artworks. So after doing maintenance on some brushes, I went ahead and got to coloring the line art. Now I honestly didn't really think it through. I should have made the background dark prior to painting, but I managed to fix it by copying the background layer and pasting it with the character's silhouette and use it to keep the original color. Otherwise it would show through, which was a bit odd. Here's the before and after so you can see exactly what I mean. So yeah, I was figuring out that I actually really like painting with watercolors. I have never really done it before, but I've seen a lot of different artists that do watercolor, or at least something to me that looks a bit like watercolor, and I find it fascinating. And I love how much the line art can carry the whole piece whenever you use watercolors. Painting this piece was a real joy of discovering, and I'm used to painting and rendering things thoroughly, as seen in my previous artworks, and I find this type of coloring a bit liberating, I guess. And I might do it more in the future, which leads me to ask, what kind of color styles do you folk like? I'm a huge fan of rendered art, but apparently I discovered a special spot in my heart for watercolors, along with pixel art. Anyways, this is our final result, and if you turn off the drawing layer, you can see the 3D underneath. And I can definitely say it saved me a lot of time and allowed me to focus on different things in the artwork, like the composition and colors. Oh, and if you enjoyed this video, how about splashing some watercolors on the subscribe button? I heard it can be quite an experience. Thank you for watching and have a great day!